Good evening. I am going to do a little stream. This is the first time I've done this, but I'm going to try and work on a bug in the Hotwired Turbo. Good evening. Oh, now I'm hearing myself. That's not what I wanted to do. Let me turn that off. So let's see. How can I get the screen to show up? Let's see here. You're just seeing me right now. Okay, this should be my screen. And oh, looks like I can put myself down in the corner. And we'll see if that works. I am trying this out. All right, I don't know how to get myself on the screen. That's okay. Let's start by going to GitHub and the Hotwired Turbo repo. And what I wanted to look at was an issue that just got upvoted this evening. And I think it's this one. Yeah. So this is an issue that's been around since March of 2021. And basically what it is in turbo frames, if you have a frame that is lazy loaded, turbo treats that as loaded, which does not seem ideal. So I was going to see if I could try to understand more about this and see if we can fix it. So let's see if we can reproduce this issue. If I pull up the turbo source code, let me close this. Go to my main branch, and then we have issue number 214. So we'll do issue 214. All right, so this has to do with frames. And I am going to stash these changes. Let's see. Stash. Okay. So we need to look at the frames. Frames.html. So this is inside the test fixtures. There's also a frames folder, so I might need that. But I want to find an example of a lazy loaded frame if I can. And I actually don't know a whole lot about lazy loading frames. So let's pull up the documentation real quick. And let's look at frames, lazy loading frames. So loading equals lazy. So that's what we're looking for here. And we do have a couple of examples in the test fixtures. We have an eager loaded frame, and we have this hello frame. Support lazy loading, that's probably pretty good. Promoting lazy loaded frames. So this has an advance action. Let's just take this very basic hello one, and let's see if we can find a test that uses this. This is loading HTML. So there should be a test that corresponds with this in the functional tests, possibly. Brain tests. This is loading HTML. Looks like it is loading tests. Okay. So we have a lazy loading within a details element. And so what this does is this will go to that page. It will click on the summary, which is right here. And it is checking for the TurboFrame complete attribute. Specifically in the frame content, so loading lazy TurboFrame H2. So that would be loading lazy TurboFrame, and then inside hello there's going to be an H2. Okay. So whenever I approach these kinds of issues, I want to try to create a test that reproduces the issue. So that's what I'm starting with. I'm looking at the test functional, and I'm looking at something that's close to what is described in the issue. We have a TurboFrame with loading lazy, we have an SRC, and that's kind of what he's describing here, loading lazy. So what he's got is there's a loaded promise on the frame element. And the issue is that this promise is already resolved. So that he can't wait on that promise before he does some JavaScript that relies upon the content in the frame already being loaded. So that's a problem, because he wants to be able to load the content in the frame and then do something with it. Apparently there's some workarounds, and one of the workarounds was posted even just today, where you basically listen for the frame load and resolve based on that event. Which I guess works, but it'd be nice if this worked without that. So that I'm going to take a look, see if I can make it work. So there is one of the things we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to wire up some JavaScript. And he's using a stimulus controller. I don't know that there's stimulus in these tests. It looks like there might be. Here's one. Stimulus controller. Do we have a Stimulus. No, we don't have a file called stimulus controller. I guess it is probably up here. Controller. Okay, so this is a stimulus controller right here. So we can follow this kind of pattern where we bring in stimulus. So let's just try that. In a script type module tag, we can register a controller. Data controller test. Yeah, okay. And what the issue says is they have an adjust focus, this focus first item. So we can try something like that. Let's just do a connect. And then adjust focus. And we're going to need a frame element. Static targets. Frame element. Okay. So in order to make this work, we're going to have to put the data controller around this, and then we're going to have to put data test target of frame element on the frame. That will allow us in the stimulus to access the frame element. I think with target. And then we're going to have to do something. What we want is to be able to access this content inside our frame. Hello from a frame. So if I just look for an H2 tag, let's just do query selector H2. I don't think you can focus. Maybe we could put an input so we can focus it. Input in frame, that's fine. Let's just focus that. There you go. So then in order to try this out, I think we just say node server. Alright, that didn't work. npm, let's see, yarn build and yarn start. Maybe that's it. I've already done that. So I'm already running somewhere. 9,000 might be it. Localhost 9,000. And then we say frame. No loading. This is fixtures loading.html. Alright. So lazy loaded, eager loaded. So I'm already seeing my input. And I'm noticing there's already a input in the frame. So I may not need this input in frame. But I'm noticing that the element already has the contents of hello.html, which is not what I expected. I expected it to be lazy loaded. And this indicated to me that you'd have to click on lazy loading summary. Oh, I see. This is the lazy loading summary. Okay, so I think if we look at the network tab, hello.html is not in here, but when we click this, it loads it. Okay. Okay, so if we just hit lazy loaded, it does this. It looks like I can reuse this. I really just want this to be in focus, so we can just use that. So let's go back over here and get rid of this input in frame. Let's grab this permanent input in frame and put that on this right here. So if this was working, we should have, let me just go ahead and run this application.start. We should be able to click this and then have this be selected. But the problem is this loaded is already resolved. So let me just try the workaround. Actually, let me commit this. Because I think this might be reproducing the problem. Data controller, let's see. Attempt to reproduce issue. I'm going to try the workaround just to see if I'm accurately reproducing this issue. So let me comment, oops, I need to go here, comment this out, and do this. I think I need frame element target. Let's see if that works. Refresh. Nope, that did not work. Add a debugger here. So I'm not getting my debugging, which makes me think that I need to rebuild. Let's do that. Yarn build. Okay, I don't have the extra input, but I also don't have my debugger. And I'm seeing an issue here in the browser. Unexpected token. Oh, you know what? This is TypeScript. That's not gonna work. Okay. I'm not hitting this debugger. Let me try setting this. Oh, now I'm hitting it. Am I hitting this? Debugger. Nope. So this dot frame element target. Let's see if there's a problem with that. This dot frame element target appears to be something I can use. Yeah, that's the turbo frame. dot add event listener. Oops. Let's see. Are we getting in here at least? Nope, it's not liking this. What do we got here? Cannot read properties of frame element target. Oh, I think I know the problem. So we're losing this because this is not a lambda. Let me try it now. Console. Cannot read properties of undefined. Oh, we did it again. What if we do that? Got a lambda. Frame loaded listener. Oh, I see. That's the name of this function. Alright, I'll just do const self equals this. And self here. Let's see if that works. Okay, now we hit this resolve. And now if I let it run, there it is. We get to this spot and we should focus. Permanent input in frame. Oh, I forgot to do, did I do this right? Let's refresh. Take off my debugging. Hey, there we go. It's input. All right. So that is working. Guess we could leave that, but we might need to clean that up later. But let's show it not working again. Let's go back to this. Yeah, so it is not waiting for this loaded. So did I change anything? Oh, got some extra spaces. Don't need that. All right, so this does reproduce the issue. Let me see if I can get the test to fail. Changing loading attribute from laser to eager loads frame. Navigating a visible frame with loading lazy navigates. Changing source. Alright, I'm going to just copy this top test and put it down here and say lazy loading is not loaded. That's what we got here, loaded. Until not marked as loaded until it is actually loaded. Alright, maybe I should say when lazy loading loaded promise does not resolve until it is actually loaded. Alright, so how would I verify that the focus has changed? I'm going to see if Copilot can help me. Let's create a new chat. In, what is this, Playwright? How can I assert that a circular element is in focus. Okay, Copilot. This is a programming related question. Did I misspell playwright? In the playwright test library, how do I check if a element is in focus? Wow. All right, Copilot's not being helpful. Let's just look it up. Playwright test focus. Okay, let's see if Stack Overflow can help me. To be focused. Is that a thing? Assertions. To be focused. There it is. Okay, so we can just do that. Await. I don't really care about the contents. Await. What is it? Expect. Page.locator. Frame contents. I guess my locator is really the input. So let's look at the input here. Permanent input in frame. Do we already have a pattern for getting that? No. Let's say const input selector equals permanent input in frame. Loading lazy. Yeah, okay. So expect page.locator input selector to be focused. All right, so let's see if we can run this test. Loading tests. So I was able to run particular tests this way. Yeah, yarn test browser. Loading tests.js. And this is running it in Chrome and Firefox. I think it'll be one of the last tests, since it's at the bottom of the file. I may want to move it up just so I get quicker feedback. This is really slow. I'm going to cancel that. Let's try again. All right, we got a failure. And it retries 2 times. Can I cancel it and see the error? Okay. Expect is not defined. Oh. That's interesting. Assert maybe it's assert. I don't have an expect function. Maybe I just need to bring that in. Oh, we're using chai assertions. Okay. Let me just bring this in. All right. And it failed. To be focused. That's what I wanted. So I wonder if I bring this workaround back, whether this will pass. It does. Nice. Okay. So this is testing the issue that we want. So let me commit this. Don't need an extra line break there. Commit. It's an extra line break there. Test for lazy loaded promise. Test for loaded promise on lazy frame. Commit. All right. Now we have a test that reproduces the issue. So we can start looking at how to implement our fix. Now, there was some suggestions in this issue on how the solution might work. And this was back in 2021 when there was TypeScript involved. We no longer have TypeScript. So I'm not sure, but this might be something we could look at. Source core frames frame controller. Source core frames frame controller. Okay. So there is, in the connect method, the suggestion is we might need to do something with loaded here. Is there a loaded? Where's loaded used? Return this.element.loaded. Okay, so in this case, we are setting loaded to be a promise. Which is what we want. Await loaded. So I think I agree with this person's suggestion that we could, when we are in the block that says this is a lazy frame, we can set the loaded to be a promise. And then later on, we could resolve that promise. So let's see if we can do that. Equals new promise. And if I ask Copilot, is it gonna come alive for me? Okay, so if I ask it about this, might be a little bit more interesting. Yeah, a promise is an object that represents the eventual completion of an asynchronous operation. The function new promise creates a promise that never settles because it never calls either resolve or reject. The loaded promise will remain in the pending state indefinitely. So how would I make a promise that I can resolve elsewhere? All right, so if I have a resolve, so if I set up like this dot lazy load resolve equals actually it's nothing. I don't even know if I need it in the constructor because we're going to put it right here. Resolve, and then we're going to say this dot lazy load resolver equals resolve. And then at some point they were suggesting in the element appeared in viewport. Promise this dot element dot loaded. We could do the resolver there. So what happens if I run the test now? Nope. No go. So element appeared in viewport. I wonder if that resolver is set. Maybe I need to do if this dot lazy loading resolver, and only then call it. That seems safer. But let me see if I build it and run it in the browser if I can debug this. Yarn build. And then refresh. And let's just see what happens. We're not getting anything here. Yep, we have a problem because it can't read properties of null. We need to debug into Turbo. So let's go over to this and let's look at lazy load resolver. Let's see if this line is being run. It is, okay. And then let's see if we're getting down here. Play. Alright, we are getting in here. And we do have lazy load resolver. So we're able to execute that resolver. But it is not apparently at the right time because when we hit this button, element appeared in viewport. loaded is a promise. Okay, that's good. Element loaded is still a promise. That's interesting. They're still pending. All right, it is now executing our get element by ID, but apparently that is too early because we don't see that item yet, and we are getting this error. So we're gonna have to take a look at this. Element appeared in viewport is the appearance observer delegate. I guess that is not what we want. Load source URL. Oh, here we go. This feels a little better. This is a little bit interesting. Await this element loaded is what we are doing in our code here. But we need to actually resolve loaded. So I wonder whether this is going to work. That seems a little odd to me, but I guess if the loaded is set up the other way, where's the other way? Loaded equals, that's the one I set up, and then this one, the visit, oh, that is exactly where I am. Interesting. So we're actually overriding loaded again. So I wonder if this is going to work. Because the loaded that we're waiting on here is not this loaded. We're going to have to chain it, I think. Let's just, for fun, set up a separate, like, lazy loaded. And we will set the loaded. We will resolve the lazy loaded here. Which looks like it waits till after it has loaded that content. Let's see what that does. Oh, we gotta build. Build. All right. So it is already here. Oh, I know why. It is waiting on loaded, but we started something new called lazy loaded. So let's see, now we're properly waiting, and let's see if we hit this and go. Now we have the information and we are about to focus it. So take this off and hit play through. I don't see it focusing, but let me see if it happens. Yep, it worked. Nice. So we have a working solution. What I don't like is that we had to introduce a new thing called lazy loaded. So let me commit this as a way of doing this. Let me make sure my tests are passing. Passing, yes, okay. Use lazy loading promise. Commit. All right. I may have to stop here because it is getting late, but what I would like to figure out is if there's a way to chain these two promises. So essentially we would say the loaded is this, loaded equals, and then we would have to say if we already have a loaded promise, then we're going to need to chain it. How would we do that? I guess we could do this, else that. And then well, we could hold on to the page loaded promise. Const visit loaded promise. And we could just set that here. If we don't have a loaded yet, if we do have a loaded yet, actually we could just await that. And then resolve that one. This might work. So if not loaded, like if we don't have a loaded, which means that we are not lazy loading, then we set the loaded equal to this promise. We await that promise, and then we resolve the lazy load resolver if it exists. All right, I must have added or removed one too many. Here we go. Needed one more brace. All right, let's see if that works. I am seeing this failure. Or maybe that's just flaky. No, these two failed. These two are flaky. Alright, that did not work. Why did that not work? If not this element.loaded. Let me look at what it looks like in the debugger. Definitely not working. It is immediately resolving, so that's a problem. Set a breakpoint here and set a breakpoint here. Refresh. Okay, if loading style. We have a loaded. It's pending. Okay. And now we're back to connect. Oh, that's another frame. Okay. And now we are at load source URL. Is this the other frame? This loading style. It's eager. Yeah, this is the other frame. Okay. All right. Oh, I see what I did. I forgot to change this back to loaded. Loaded. All right. Let's build that again, and let's turn off these breakpoints. And it works. Sweet. And let's see if the test works. Looks like it's working. I am concerned about these tests. Reloading a frame reloads the content. Line 115. I don't know why this would have been affected. There's a part of me that wonders whether my test being first is affecting this. So I can try moving that down to the bottom. But if that doesn't work, I may have to look and see if this test is failing in main. It does look like there is some kind of a timeout here. Yeah, 30-second timeout. I do not like that. Let me commit this and then take a look at main. Loaded, loaded, loaded. Yeah, this might be a problem because the fact that it's timing out makes me think it's not resolving properly. So let me just double check that this is not happening in main. Loading tests. Definitely not happening in main. Okay, so I broke something. Let's go back. Which issue is this? This is issue 214. And let's take a look at that test. So this is reloading a frame contents. Or reloading a frame reloads the content. Reload. So is there a reload method here? Ah. I wonder if this is the issue. Reloading a frame. Loading eager. Only thing about that that's confusing to me is that loaded should only have been changed if the loading style was lazy. And in this case, the loading style is eager. Loading eager. But let me check if that is what's causing it. So if I just remove this and run that test suite again, obviously my tests are gonna fail, but reloading a frame reloads the content. Looks like that's also failing. Okay, so what did I do? Loaded. So I know I changed this. If I go back, to this, does that fix it? Looks like no. Okay, so now I'm getting concerned here. I would like to know what is different about my branch. That's not the branch. Let me push the branch. I like using GitHub to see the differences. Alright, I added that and I commented that out. I thought that I brought this code back. I wonder if it's the stimulus? I added the stimulus stuff. I could try removing that, but that wasn't even touching this. Let me just comment that out. Aha! That was it. Something about my stimulus broke the eager loaded frame. Yeah, of course my test is gonna fail. Okay. Why did this break eager loaded frame? Was it something in here? It is still broken. So what if I get rid of all this code? Still broken. What if I get rid of this? Still broken. Interesting. Is it the import? It's the import. Fascinating. Is there something with I wonder if I'm conflicting on my turbo and my stimulus. But it was just the import of stimulus that broke it. Is this already being imported somewhere? Page refresh. Why would importing stimulus break reloading a frame? Reloads the content. That is a mystery. I wonder if I can reload the frame myself. Promise fulfilled. Wow, this is an interesting test. I'm not sure what it's doing here. Frame complete. It is complete. It is, we're refreshing that. Clears complete attribute. Assert equal. Okay, so it's actually expecting this to go away. Let me check that. Get check out main. Oh. Get stash. Get check out main. Build. Refresh. And if I reload, I see complete. Promise is pending. And now it's fulfilled. So it appears to be behaving the same. All right. Well, it is getting late. I'm going to have to stop it there. And take a look at this later. Thanks for watching.